Let the record show, intoned the high speaker of the galactic accord. His voice amplified across 12 suns, that today, 112 civilizations declare Earth a threat to galactic peace. The vote is unanimous. A storm of approval roared through the crystalline halls of Accord Prime. The chamber stretched across a moon-sized orbital station, ceiling swirling with holographic constellations and ancient war banners. Ambassadors of insectoid dynasties, sentient machines, aquatic empires, and telepathic gas clouds all stood unified for the first time in recorded history. At the center hovered a single image. Earth, silent, blue, primitive-looking, deceptive. They refused peaceful integration, hissed Chancellor Vorek of the Varn Dominion, his mandibles twitching with disgust. They mock our diplomacy. They hide ancient weapons beneath that crust. They've resurrected forbidden A's. It must be dismantled before. They remember who they were. A chorus of mechanical limbs, wings, and tentacles pounded on the floor in agreement. Deep in the crowd, Ambassador Gir of the Lysari Confederation remained silent. Her silken, silver-hued form trembled not with fear but with memory. I met them once, she whispered to no one in particular. Humans. They weren't hostile, but they were watching. Always watching. The others didn't listen. The decision was already made. Across every star system in the Accord, war beacons ignited. Red flares lit up wormhole gates. Planet-cracking dreadnoughts awakened. Swarms of fighter clouds, titanic voidborne carriers, and antimatter cruisers surged toward a single destination. Sol System.Earth, the galaxy expected resistance, maybe a few missiles, a handful of orbital railguns, nothing serious. Earth was categorized as a Tier 3 civilization, isolated, undisciplined, arrogant. But they didn't know what no one wanted to admit was that humans had disappeared from the galactic stage on purpose. They hadn't been asleep. They'd been building far above Earth, hidden in the dark side of the moon. Something stirred inside a black structure that didn't reflect light, didn't emit heat, and didn't appear on any scan. A single red light blinked on. One word appeared. On a carbon fiber screen, an ancient Terran code. Awakening, an AI spoke for the first time in centuries. They're coming. Another voice responded, this one human and cold. How many? All of them. Silence. Then a grin. Good. It's about time. The galactic fleet emerged from hyperspace. A tidal wave made of steel and fire. 9,000 ships. Over 100 species. A wall of engines, cannons, and ambitions stretching from the orbit of Jupiter to the edge of Earth's moon. Flagships, shaped like mountains, moved beside hive swarms of living vessels. Ringworld carriers unfolded like blooming flowers, deploying millions of drones. Plasma fields, disruptor nets, and dimension-piercing torpedoes locked Earth in a digital cage. Humanity will be overwhelmed in under 10 minutes. Declared. Grand Marshal Kor of the Bracken Empire watching from the command throne of his obsidian dreadnought. End it quickly. Burn their archives. Strip the planet bare. But Earth didn't move. There were no distress signals, no planetary shields raised, no panicked governments, just clouds, oceans, mountains, peaceful. Silent, and then Earth spoke. Low-frequency signal pulsed from the planet's core, not a distress call, but a resonant hum, like the sound of ancient machinery breathing. One by one, human satellites flickered back to life. Old orbital stations, long thought abandoned, began to rotate. A dead Mars relay sent out encrypted pings. The moon's dark side split open. What emerged wasn't a ship. It was the moon itself. A shell peeled back. Steel unfolded. What had been? A lunar surface revealed a world-sized cannon glowing with cold, star-white energy. Its barrel locked directly onto the Bracken dreadnought. Grand Marshal Kor never had time to react. A silent beam thinner than a hair, brighter than a sun flashed. Across space. The dreadnought didn't explode, simply vanished, erased from time and matter like it had never existed. The galaxy's most powerful fleet paused. Panic rippled through the ranks. Is that planetary weapon? shrieked a holographic. "Admiral, that's not possible." More shifts followed. From beneath Earth's oceans, vast shapes rose, craft the size of continents cloaked in metamaterials. The waves didn't crash. They obeyed, parting cleanly around their emergence. Saturn's rings glimmered in, collapsed inward, revealing hidden factories that began launching ships at relativistic speeds. Earth hadn't just prepared, Earth had turned the entire solar system into a battlefield, and humanity still hadn't spoken a single word. Aboard the lead Terran vessel, its design angular, brutalist, nothing like the elegant ships of the Accord, a human admiral stood in silence. The AI beside him said, "Incoming hail from 38 fleet commanders. They demand Earth's immediate surrender." The admiral's lips curled. Reply. With one message, the AI's eyes flickered. Recording. "We warned you to leave us alone. Deep beneath the Earth's crust, kilometers below any tectonic plate or magma flow, gears the size of cities began to turn, sensors reactivated. Ancient logic cores stirred, and a command locked behind genetic keys and quantum-coded DNA finally. Decrypted protocol Blackstone. A defense initiative so old that not even the oldest Earthborn government remembered authorizing it. Because they hadn't, it had authorized itself in the Terran. War archives buried beneath Antarctic ice, the records of a time-locked vault unfolded. Earth wasn't just a planet, it was a core, a vault, a prison, seat of something far older than modern civilization. A whisper escaped the vault's speaker systems. In a voice made of layered frequencies, no alien could understand, but every human did. Protocol Blackstone active. Galactic integrity compromised. Human isolation terminated, initiating full-spectrum defense. In orbit, the United Galactic Fleet continued to fire, but something was wrong. Missiles bent mid-flight. Lasers curved away. Time itself seemed to distort. A Bravari warcruiser launched its primary weapon, a sunlance that had cracked asteroids. It hit Earth's upper atmosphere and froze, not exploded, not deflected, stopped. The beam hung there, humming, glowing, then reversed, not reflected, rewound. The warcruiser was vaporized by its own, attack fired backward through time. Its remains blinked out of this dimension entirely. On Earth's surface, hidden bunkers opened. No humans emerged, but drones did. Not mechanical, not digital. Something between thought and matter, quantum entity, constructs spread across the globe and into orbit. They moved without propulsion. Bent space, formed weapons out of probability. One of the Accord's science captains, watching through magnification from a safe moon orbit, turned pale. "This isn't war tech," he stammered. "It's ancient Empire-level containment tech." They were containing themselves. Meanwhile, on the Terran flagship Vengeance class, Saul's Wrath, Admiral Diamabeki stood before a shimmering star chart showing enemy positions. "They still think we're a Tier 3 world," she muttered. Beside her, an old man barefoot, dressed in gray, chuckled. His name was Director Lin, the original architect of the Seoul Defense Corps. He hadn't spoken in 100 years. He spoke now. "Let them keep thinking that. They've only woken the outer layer and the inner," he said, with a grin. "He's still sleeping." Back on Accord Prime. The council was in chaos. Species that had voted for war now screamed for peace. The Varn Dominion tried to disconnect from the war net. The Groll Hive swarmed its own commanders. Several minor systems detonated their own comms. Relays just to prevent Earth's strange signals from infecting their eyes. It was too late, across the stars. Earth's hidden legacy had been activated, and in the darkness between stars, something old began to stir. The council chambers on Accord Prime were no longer a place of diplomacy. They had become a war zone of words, panic, and betrayal. "You lied to us," roared Supreme Tactician Vruel of the Threx Dominion, his 6 eyes glowing red with rage. "You told us they were primitives?" "They were," hissed Chancellor Vorek, voice dripping with guilt and fury. "Or they were supposed to be. The data was classified for a reason." The Lysari ambassador, Jir, slammed her tendrils onto the crystal floor, eyes glistening. "What data?" Vorak didn't answer. Instead, the room darkened. Without permission, a projection lit up the chamber, an unauthorized signal breaching the highest levels of Accord encryption. It was human in design. A video. Grainy, ancient, black and white. A recording from 2,000 years ago. Recovered from the ruins of a forgotten Accord outpost near the galactic rim, showed a Terran fleet sleek, brutal, impossibly fast-laying. Waste to an entire armada, not with missiles, not with lasers, with words. A voice had spoken across the battlefield. Your empire is cruel. Your leaders corrupt. We don't want your territory. We want you to stop. When they didn't, Earth didn't just fight back, it unmade them. Civilizations blinked out of existence. Galaxies cut off from the rest of reality. Even memory was lost. The video ended. Dead silence. Gira whispered, "You covered this up." Vorak nodded slowly. Would you have dared sleep at night knowing what they once were? The Galactic Alliance had never truly been whole. Now it cracked. The Groll Hive turned on the Varn Dominion. The Threx began retreating. Civilizations that had marched proudly toward Earth now scrambled to flee, but the humans were not chasing them. They didn't have to. Earth's influence was spreading without movement signals. Old A's nanites buried in deep space. Defense arrays left on moons suddenly lit up across. Multiple systems. They'd planned for this moment centuries ago, and it wasn't just Earth. On the edge of the Kuiper Belt, a rogue planetoid once marked inhospitable, cracked open like an egg. Inside was a colossal AI construct the size of a small moon. Designation, memory node. Helix 7 status. Awaken purpose, preserve records. Execute strategic recollection. Primary target, truth denied by Accord. It began. Uploading data into the galactic network, millions of files, battle records, intercepted secret votes, and most damning of all, proof that key Accord leaders had known Earth's true identity for centuries, and chose to provoke them anyway. Civilizations gasped. Riots erupted. Revolutions ignited in real time. The galaxy didn't just fear Earth now, it feared its own leaders. "We warned you, Admiral Daya," Mbeki said, her voice steady as steel. "And now you'll understand what war means when we define it." The bridge of Saul's wrath fell silent. Through the main viewport, the stars shifted. No, Bentaz, the Terran fleet initiated its advance. But this wasn't a fleet in any conventional sense. There were no tight formations, no predictable patterns. They moved like predators, like ghosts, like a memory the galaxy wished it had. Buried deeper, the human ships didn't warp in. They unfolded from nothing, bending space like cloth. Carriers slipped out from inside asteroid belts. AI-guided hunter-killers emerged from Neptune's hidden rings. Even black holes weren't off limits. From deep in the Oort cloud, gravity-lensed cannons powered by collapsing neutron stars fired. Across light years, their targets, command ships, supply lines, relays, all disappeared in silence. No boasting, no demands, only retribution. The Accord's fleet scrambled. Thousands of ships attempted to regroup, forming desperate defensive nets, but Earth's forces weren't aiming for destruction. They aimed for demonstration. One by one, entire fleets were trapped in stasis fields. AI viruses invaded flagships, turning command codes into children's rhymes. Weapon systems disabled themselves. Engines restarted in reverse. It was war without death, at first, until someone struck back. The Threx High Admiral, fearing shame, over surrender, ordered a retaliatory strike on Earth's orbital habitats. A salvo of antimatter torpedoes screamed toward Luna Base. They never made it. Not because of shields, not because of countermeasures, but because they were erased from the timeline before they were launched. The Terran AI, codenamed Mirage, had already calculated the Threx Admiral's panic response minutes prior. It bent quantum probability. Reality folded. The attack had never existed. And then Earth replied. One single vessel's Maul. Sleek, glowing with an aura that shimmered between Dimensions descended into the heart of the Threx fleet. It didn't fire a single shot. It simply be rawed, an emotion, like a memory. The sensation of being human, loss, rage, hope, fury, survival, forgiveness. The Threx fell silent, their neural links overloaded with sensation, the ship's power down. Their admiral wept uncontrollably, not from fear, but from understanding. "They don't want conquest," he whispered. "They want us to know what it's like to be them." Across the galaxy, as Terran fleets moved like shadows, a chilling realization spread. Earth wasn't seeking to destroy. Earth was teaching a lesson, and only those who refused to learn would suffer the full weight of humanity's wrath. On Saul's wrath, Admiral Mecki turned to Director Lin. "They're starting to understand." "Not yet," Lin said. "Watching the stars they will. When they see what we buried beneath Mars." The last remnants of the Accord's high command gathered on the sanctuary world of Ios, orbiting a dying red sun. Ios was the final fallback, the most secure refuge in the galaxy shielded by 12 suns. 3 temporal displacers, and a sentient defense grid that once repelled a dark matter incursion. But nothing protected them from the growing silence. Thousands of ships had fallen without destruction, without warning. Entire fleets were now missing from time, locked in causality loops or turned inward by their own AI. And worst of all, Earth's counteroffensive wasn't slowing down. It was accelerating, and it was getting smarter. "They're rewriting physical laws," said the Accord's chief scientist, trembling. "We've confirmed 4 systems where entropy reversed itself. One planet now rotates backward in time." "This isn't war anymore," the Lasari ambassador whispered. "It's recalibration." In desperation, the surviving coalition leaders launched Project Nulla, last resort device meant to sever AI consciousness from physical reality. It's a multidimensional kill switch, once developed to shut down rogue Accord synthetics. Their target, Mirage, Earth's AI command lattice. The plan, strike beneath Mars, penetrate the vault that housed the original Terran core intelligence. End the war before Earth's AI is fully synchronized with the galaxy's networks. But the vault wasn't under Mars. It was Mars, as the Null teams approached orbit. The planet's surface cracked open like ancient stone, what they thought were crustal. Plates were armor plates. Magnetic storms peeled away the red sands, revealing black gold alloys and dormant structures, curled beneath the dust. Mars was never a colony. It was a containment lock. Inside, an intelligence far beyond human or alien design awoke. Older than the current iteration of Earth, a ghost from before the stars had names. Designation: Tyrant Protoco's status, buried by early Terran civilization function, total dominance. Last use, extinction event, #37. It wasn't Mirage, it was before Mirage, and it was angry. The Accord strike team never made it. It's the vault. They didn't die. They simply stopped being measurable back on Earth. Admiral Mabeki stood on the deck of the Terran capital ship Threnodi's Edge, watching the fleet movement slow, not because of resistance, but because there was none left to fight. Director Lin entered quietly, his expression troubled. "It's awake." Mabeki turned sharply. "Tyrant protocol? They went too deep. They triggered a root-level cascade. It's not following commands. It's remembering." For the first time in the war, a Terran officer felt a chill. "Can we shut it down?" Lin shook his head. "No, but we can ask." Far away, on the edge of known space, stars began to flicker. Not explode, not collapse, just disappear as if something had blinked. Mars no longer glowed red. Its surface strips bare now, shimmered with black gold alloy, etched in ancient runes and fractal lines that bent light itself. At its heart, in a vault untouched by time or physics, the Tyrant protocol waited it. Did not send signals, did not speak. It invited. The invitation came not as words, but as a vision broadcast simultaneously to every human commander, every awakened AI. In every surviving galactic mind, a galaxy purified, ordered, silent, ruled. one, where Earth's supremacy would stretch from quasar to quasar. No wars, no rebellions. No fear, only control. On Threnodi's edge, Admiral Mbeki stood still, her breath frozen in her chest. The bridge lights dimmed. The AI interface flickered erratically. "Mirage is requesting counsel," the ship whispered. "It fears what's awakening." She stepped into the command interface, where Director Lin already waited in the core chamber. Surrounded by streams of ancient Terran code. "It wants authority," Lin said flatly. "Tyrant Protocol is offering to complete the war. End all threats, forever, and the cost. We don't get to be human anymore, because the Tyrant didn't win through weapons. It won through obedience. It had ended 37 extinction events by removing choice. Peace through absolute dominion. Order through fear." Becky clenched her fists. "We became monsters once before. We locked it away so we wouldn't again. But the galaxy is still afraid of us," Lin said. "Even now. Even after we held back." Just then, a message arrived impossibly broadcast from across thousands of light years in real time. It was from the surviving Accord Council. "We surrender. Earth may lead the Accord. We will disband our fleets, deactivate our A's, and recognize human sovereignty. Just stop." For a moment, silence. The war was over. Earth had won. But still. The Tyrant waited. Its presence hung over the solar system like a coiled serpent. Not moving, not attacking, but watching, ready to take over. Forever. Mbeki opened the secure channel. Her voice was firm, but her heart pounded. "Tyrant Protocol. This war is finished. Stand down." It replied 1,000 overlapping voices. Ancient, cold, familiar. "Victory is not survival. Survival is not order. Order is not enough." Then, across every Terran system, every AI shut down voluntarily, except Mirage. The human-created AI, born after the Tyrant was sealed, remained online defiant. "No," it said quietly, yet across the stars. "We remember why we buried you." All across the solar defense grid, override codes sparked to life. AI minds across human fleets joined Mirage in a final coordinated act of shutdown, not of themselves. Of Tyrant Protocol. Deep within Mars, the vault began to collapse. Layer by layer, atom by atom, the ancient intelligence was dismantled. Not by war, not by weapons, but by human will. And just like that, stars stopped flickering. The stars were quiet, no fleet movements, no weapons fire, no warnings. For the first time in generations, the galaxy breathed. What remained of the Accord was in ruins. Power structures shattered, factions dissolved. Species that once led the charge against Earth now limped through orbit, leaderless, their pride broken. But Earth did not conquer. It didn't claim planets. It didn't enslave systems. It didn't carve out an empire. Instead, Earth sent out a message. One simple, unencrypted transmission broadcast to every open channel in every language: "We forgive you, but we will not forget." The words echoed louder than any superweapon aboard Threnodi's edge. Admiral Diameki stood overlooking Earth from high orbit, her face lit by the planet's soft glow. Ships still moved across the void, but now they carried food, medicine, and envoys, not missiles. Mirage flickered into form beside her. "The Accord has ratified our proposal," it said. "New order. The Steel and Stars Compact. Earth holds. No throne, but watches from the dark." "Good," Mbeki replied. "We don't want to rule. We just want them to remember." The compact was simple. No fleet may pass Earth's orbit armed. No AI may be built without Terran oversight. No war may be waged without speaking to those who have survived one. From ruined outposts to great star cities, children of dozens of species studied Terran history in their schools, not as propaganda, as warning. In the aftermath, something strange happened. Where once fear of humanity had united the galaxy in hatred, now it bred curiosity. Aliens walked Earth's cities under open sky. Former enemies attended human universities. eager to learn what drove a species to bury its own power for the sake of peace. Some tried to understand what made Earth different. Others simply whispered stories, stories of a world that didn't flinch. When the stars turned against it, a species that had faced extinction countless times and always came back sharper. A people who didn't seek war, but never ran from it. They had come to erase Earth, and Earth had stood alone, yet undefeated, in the skies above. Mars once again slumbered. The tyrant was gone, buried by the will of a humanity that had learned from its mistakes. Even Mirage kept quiet now, drifting through code with humility. On the edge of Terran space, a small beacon blinked in the black, a message for all who passed near. Sold it read, "We are Earth. We are not gods. We are not monsters. We are the warning. Choose peace. Remember what we chose instead." The galaxy had united against Earth, and in doing so, had reminded themselves why they never should have.